navigating disability finances. And that's what the topic today is going to be about. Well, show me the money. I say, show me the money, navigating disability finances. My next guest is going to be talking all about these topics. And so join me in just a few moments. Take care. Talk to you. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frayne. I'm the host. I'm also joined with Neil Matheson, my editor-producer for the show. Hello, and thanks, Neil. And also my guest today is Alison Hayes, the author of Thriving with, I get this right, Thriving While Disabled. Alison, thank you so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you on, and you were a referral actually from one of our other panelists that we have on our show. Minnie, yes, Minnie St. Clair. It's great to have you join us today, and we're going to talk today about structural ableism, and so much more to pack into that topic. It's quite a big topic, and I'm sure a lot of people are quite aware of ableism. It seems to be a very well broadcasted across our beautiful country and around our world. I mean, pink unicorns, that's a lot of ableism right there.
But who knew it was structured, Brent? Who knew it was structured? So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm Alison Hayes. I actually ended up having two books, Thriving While Disabled, Recognizing Bias, and Thriving While Disabled, Navigating Disability Finances.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You've been very busy with the books. Yeah, we'll start with the first book first. We'll kind of give an overview. And so I guess my first question for you, Alison, is, so what inspired you to write the book?
So I've been living with disabilities myself most of my life. I've got multiple non-apparent disabilities, and about 7 years or so ago now, my partner went through his second life-altering injury, and second permanently disabling too. And after I had gotten him through all of the medical aspects of it, he pointed out that I really had a good sense of what was going on and what to say and how to get him the right treatment to the right hospital, all of that, the challenging medical stuff. And so he encouraged me, because I was at that moment in between things. I'm primarily supported by the U.S. Social Security Disability Insurance Program, which is basically the retirement disability program.
Okay.
And I tend to have projects or work that I'm doing, and I finished grad school, and then as I was looking for next steps, he got injured, so everything was sidetracked. And so as he got better and I recovered from helping him through all of his stuff, I was like, what's my next thing going to be?
Yeah.
And I ended up creating a blog and then coaching service called Thriving While Disabled.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And so all of that was basically giving people the information they needed to try to get through the broken US system.
Oh, yes.
Understand the disability process, understand the mistreatment people were likely to get from both the system and from doctors, and the various things they had to face to really take care of themselves as a person with a disability.
There's always that misconception from the broad public, thinking that the systems are there to take care of the citizens, and they're well taken care of. But as you mentioned, Alison, the system is broken. And
I don't know what it's like. We can do a compare contrast with Canada
Absolutely.
versus the States, but
yeah.
like here in BC, well, we'll just take British Columbia because me and Brent are in British Columbia, so that's on the far west coast here, and here in BC, people with disabilities, if you're a single person, you get roughly, it's a little bit under $1,500 a month. That's all in everything. That's supposed to cover your rent and your food and your bills, like all your utilities, all in $1,500. And I mean, I'm sure with rent prices the way they are, that's a very challenging ask, right?
Absolutely. The U.S. has 2 different programs, which we'll get into, but it's very messy.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, really. Especially when governments don't increase rates in 4 years, too. I mean,
Yep. So I looked at the whole broken system, and originally I had the blog posts talking about it, and I kind of had multiple people who would be like, Alison, have you thought of writing a book? And I was like, maybe at some point, but I can't imagine doing it now. And I kept saying that until I put together an outline for a course that I was originally calling financial survival on disability, something like that. Mm-hmm. And a couple of people looked at that and they're like, no, Alison, this isn't a class, this is a book. And I worked to make that happen.
Yeah.
As I was writing it, I realized I wanted more background for people. So, because I'm like writing about how ableist the system is. And then I'm like, I never really defined ableism. Mm-hmm. I never really talked about the relationship with poverty and with classism. And I kept having more and more things that I was putting in the first chapter mm-hmm. to help people understand what they were really up against and why.
Yeah.
And by the time I was finished, I'd written more than could comfortably be fit in a single book, and ended up dividing it into 2, mm-hmm. one of which was the original add-ons to the mm-hmm. book, the mm-hmm. beginning explanations, and the other big thing I talked about a lot was life through the lens of disability, and just mm-hmm. looking at some of the major life milestones that people tend to have and expect, mm-hmm. and put those together with a little bit of looking into the future, what can be helpful for our community. And that became book 1, Thriving While Disabled, Recognizing Bias, mm-hmm. with book 2 being the original book plan of Thriving While Disabled, Navigating Disability Finances.
So you got to do a third one, and then you can do the Star Wars trilogy kind of thing.
Yeah, there you are.
I honestly have a third one in the back of my head, which would probably be healthcare and self-care.
Right. Okay, good.
Oh, wow. That'd be
and talking about the medical care system and the struggles we have, and emotionally and mentally protecting yourself while going through the process of actually getting diagnosed and actually finding treatment and actually finding doctors that are helpful instead of hurtful, and so on. So I have that in the back of my head.
Yeah, good, because self-advocacy is so important, right? I mean, mm-hmm. Brent and I always talk on the show a lot that there are a lot of people out there that just don't have the energy to self-advocate, right? And so, that's why, Brent, you wanted to start this podcast, or before it was the Twitter Spaces, mm-hmm. to kind of amplify the advocacy for people that couldn't do it themselves, right? And so your book is kind of the same kind of message, that here's some self-advocacy help for people that don't know how to help themselves, really.
Amplifying their voices that they feel that aren't being heard. And I'm glad that you're going to write a book on the third book coming up on healthcare, because I always say, on other podcasts, Alison, that if the governments take care of their citizens properly, which they should be morally responsible to do,
Mhm.
it puts less strain on our healthcare system. It actually it
Oh,
really
absolutely.
amplifies their well-being mentally, physically. Uh, poverty should not even exist anywhere, but that really has a huge implication on physical health and mental health.
Yeah.
And so it puts really a lot of strain on our already strained healthcare system already. Lack of
Oh,
doctors,
absolutely.
nurses, other specialist practitioners, you name it. So I always look at alleviate ways of reducing down the barriers when it comes to accessing the healthcare system. So when I say that, meaning that look at the structural problems and build on it and see where the problems are, and build, basically have building blocks, and then focusing on those blocks and saying what is the underlying issue, and then actually conquering it. And it actually, and the stats show that it actually costs more to keep people in poverty than out of poverty. So kudos to you on the book, because I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to reading that.
Well, you just said the key word for the day, Brent. Structural.
Yep.
So let's unpack that. Let's
Yeah.
Mhm.
unpack structural ableism,
Hmm.
Alison. So what is structural ableism?
So structural ableism is all of the things, both the actual physical structures as well as, like, more importantly, the social structures that
Hmm.
exist in society that amplify the issues of ableism. And so when I talk about structural ableism, I'm saying everything is built without consideration for or of disabled people and with a bias against disability and disabled people.
Hmm.
So, I mean, the very physical examples are all of the things built without ramps, all of the times that ramps are the extra add on, all of the things that don't have captions, that presume sightedness, that presume standard neurological responses, standards of vision, standards of all of the different things that disabled people may be different, sensory overwhelm, everything physically built around that, and that are built with a presumption that having a difference
Hmm.
makes you less.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So,
I can see that angle. It's definitely like sign language, for instance. People think, oh, well, why is there sign language? Why does it need to be that way? Well, because people are sight impaired or hearing impaired. Or they're
right,
deaf or blind. Having all these different aspects integrated into society to enable that person to participate in society and understand what they're actually saying
exactly.
in sign language. Because sign language, I was taught that back in elementary school. I still remember certain ones, but test me now. Well, I probably wouldn't do so well.
Now
I mean,
you're from the States, so you should know this. But the name, for some reason, escapes me now. But there's a woman. She's passed away now. But there was a woman in a chair. She did a lot of TED talks, and she said no amount of smiling will make will
Oh,
make will make the stares disappear.
uh,
What?
yeah, that would be Stella. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Her name was on the tip of my tongue, and
but
that's why
yeah,
I threw it to you. But
yeah,
yeah,
no, her first name is Stella, and she's the one who coined inspiration porn.
that's
Stella
right.
Young,
That's right. Yeah,
inspiration porn.
yeah,
And yeah, because that TED talk, "I'm not your inspiration," is
yeah,
where the term inspiration porn came from,
yeah.
and that's one of
okay.
the terms I define in the book.
Right.
I got a chapter on, like, disability culture and disability concepts, and, like, helping people who are abled or new to the disability community understand that there's a lot of pieces to this, and there's a lot of stereotypes,
Hmm.
and breaking those down so that people can feel better and safer about participating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. And
one of the
it's okay to be, it's okay to be who the person is. It's on how society actually uh, has to understand that people will become disabled and more disabilities in life. and they have to integrate and accept who the people are around them, and JC chopped down all the barriers, and all the socialist aspects that really affect a person's life, their well-being. One of my neighbors became, when I was young, was paraplegic. And I was just skating. He was practicing doing. He was on a team, on a junior hockey team, and it was just one of those fluke accidents. One of his teammates came by, and they were playing around. I mean, as kids do, and he had the hockey puck there, and he turned around, and it was a total accident. And his friend felt so devastated because he whacked him with the stick by accident, and that was it. So I mean, so it changed his whole life, and he had to learn new things. And some of his pupils were saying, "Oh well, I guess it's better to have four wheels than two now, isn't it?" Like, teasing him, like saying, "Well, you have four wheels than two," and he says, "Well, that's my life. That's my life now, and I don't know anything different now." Right? Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, and like, disability is the only minority identity that anyone can join at any time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And every abled person is basically one incident, accident, or infection away from becoming disabled.
Yeah.
So so it's like this. It's really disturbing when you stop and think about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of why abled people don't, because that includes recognizing that you are just a step away, and you're like basically looking at your own mortality. You hear about somebody who just this one thing went wrong, and then you realize, oh, that could happen to me.
Yeah.
So they don't want to think about it.
Well, that
increases that bias, increases that reluctance. Makes it even more likely that they don't want to talk to us, don't want to talk about us, don't want to recognize, because one thing goes wrong in their lives and they could be us.
Yeah, or they don't want to accept the fact that yes, one day it could happen to them, or they don't, or they look at it and say, oh well, that can't happen to me because I'm healthy, or whatever their aspect is in their life. Until I would say, live the life of a person with disabilities, be in their same shoes, identical, then they look outward and going, uh-oh, maybe I was wrong in how I perceived or how I was treating that person as a lower class to the to an
you really do see that classism, and you've touched on it there earlier there, and what I wanted to get to too is sort of another comparison contrast between Canada and the States. Like we have he's Aaron Richmond is a man that's he's got his own podcast, and he's from the States as well. He's come on our podcast, and he's blind, and so but we've talked about the difference between the ADA in America versus here in Canada. Like, there really is no equivalent at all in Canada. Like as much as Aaron has said, well, the ADA is like nothing now. It's like a nothing burger almost, because they haven't updated it, since the early '90s. But like Brent and I can attest, like at least you have that. Like Canada like might as well be in the Bronze Age or the Dark Age, because like Canada has never addressed that, never, like period at all. And the Canada Disability Benefit, which was something that was rolled out like 5 years ago, we're still waiting for it. And it's only been in the last 5 years. So again, like at least in America, you've had the ADA since the early '90s. Well, I mean, we've only just now got something called the Canada Disability Benefit, and it's woefully broken and inadequate already. and and it's still kind of in the rollout stages. And it's just like, wow, you messed it up. You messed it up. Like, how could you mess it up?
Yeah.
Anyway,
here's something really interesting kind of related to that topic, and Alison, maybe you could chime in on this too. So back in 2010, I mean, 15 years ago, Canada had enriched into the UN, the UN CRPD. They had signed on to it, and
which is what, Brent? Let's remind people what that is. The CRPD.
That's the actually, I'll get you to.
It's the Convention for the Rights for People with Disabilities. That's what it stands for.
That's what it
Convention
stands
for the Rights for People with Disabilities. So Canada signed on to that. And said, yes, we support it. But ever since 2010, what's happened? Nothing. It's been crickets. It's been crickets.
And the US actually told.
Okay, go ahead.
Good. The U.S. still hasn't signed that document.
Oh, you haven't signed it at all? Oh, wow.
No.
Okay.
So, yes, Canada signed on. The U.S. hasn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've signed on, but nothing's happened, so it doesn't matter anyway.
So just put that in perspective.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The U.S. still hasn't signed it.
Okay.
Current administration definitely would not sign it.
Yeah.
The main problem with the ADA, it is good on paper.
Right.
It's good that we have the laws. The problem is there is zero effort put into enforcing the laws.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's we've got a something, but the something is on paper.
Right.
It's nice to have a something on paper, but there is almost no enforcement.
Yeah.
And the agencies that are supposed to enforce that and related laws, the current administration is firing everybody involved with the enforcement.
Yeah.
So they basically kneecap everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just, you know what I mean? Like putting it in perspective.
Yeah.
You know, it is really great that the UN law exists. It is really great that it's out there. The US should have signed on to it. I think we follow most of the tenets. However, the US never has, for whatever political reason.
Right.
And the laws we do have, some of which parallel, some of which may be a little better, some of which are probably a bit worse. There has never been money put into enforcing them. So a lot of businesses in the US are supposed to be ADA compliant, but aren't. And part of it is it's cheaper for them to pay the fines if somebody goes after them than to actually make themselves be compliant, because there's nobody to check them. There's no, like, you know, the railroad systems, a lot of programs have enforcement built in.
Right.
The ADA does not.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah. And that's kind of like how the UN had told Canada when they came out with this Canada Disability Benefit. They said, you know, you basically screwed up on this. You need to fix it. And Canada's like, yeah, okay. And then, of course, they didn't want to fix it. They just ignored all the key recommendations. And they had meetings in, I guess, in Congress too. Like they came down, all the top, the rapporteurs for the in the UN and all the G7 countries. They all came together and recognized, yeah, hey, you know, this is what needs to be fixed. And it's like, yeah, that's pass the buck back.
It was basically theater, wasn't it, Brent? It was basically nice theater where they had like, and I mean, I don't want to minimize it because there was some really powerful impact statements from people with disabilities and disability organizations. So all that was really good. All that was really good, but it just, at the end of the day, it basically became a performative theater because nothing came from that. It was like, oh, well, thanks for your impact statement. We'll just ignore that now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, thank you for sharing. We didn't want to hear it.
We didn't want to hear it anyway. Yeah.
It's like, thanks for talking about your lived experience stories, but you know what? It's like, I got wax on my ears. What did you say? Like, I'm sorry. It's like, what is that? When I learned this in college. So you would start, I would say, Neil, so the dog chased the cat's tail, and then by the time you got all the way around the whole desks and back to the same person again, what did I say? The dog bit the dog.
Yeah,
bit
you went to the store to get peanut butter or something.
Yeah. I mean, it changes the whole situation. So in the government's eyes, is like they didn't want to hear it, so they changed the whole narrative, and then they spun around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, and that unfortunately happens a lot, no matter where. Yeah. And so a big part of what I ended up doing with my books was I actually shifted them to be more global in nature, because basically I had it, I thought, mostly written when the presidential results came in, and I went, well, okay, I don't know if all these programs will still exist.
Exactly.
When she comes into power. And so I shifted a bit to make it more global. And what I've done is almost every chapter starts with a discussion about the topic from like a global perspective and as a more universal issue, with a couple of examples from other countries of how this particular thing plays out or where to look for more information. So like I do a deep dive into US disability history and explain that a lot of the themes stay the same. And then have a little section that says, here's some places to start looking for history of disability from other, related to other countries. And then every chapter I do a little bit of that. The first book really is especially global because most of the experiences I think are pretty universal. The ableism itself, the classism. My big thing with the intersection of ableism and classism is disabled people are viewed as more disposable. So we're pushed into poverty because being disabled is more expensive. And if we get money for being disabled, it's nowhere near as much as we could make if the ableism wasn't there.
Yeah, and like we said, I mean, again, here in BC, if it's $1,500 a month, so the governments are basically saying, the provincial government's basically saying that if you have a disability, you're only worth this much.
Right.
Yep.
You are basically worth poverty. That's what your worth is. You're worth poverty.
Yeah. Well, and if they don't want to increase the rates, it's basically saying, well, we're only going to give you this much because, I mean, your worthiness is X amount of dollars. And then, the spin would be, oh, well, it's the tariffs. It's the tariffs. Well, I mean, not raising it 4 years, that was well before the tariffs.
That's your choice.
And just full disclosure, Alison, too. I don't know if you know anything about our politicians here, but we have a premier here in BC, David Eby, that loves to blame everything on the tariffs. He's all about let's blame Trump for everything. Let's blame the tariffs for everything. And he is so averse to pointing the finger at himself.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And it's just like, it's all everybody else's fault. I'm not doing anything wrong. It's everybody else. And,
gotcha.
It bugs me to no end, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And then you got border towns that are small businesses that are saying like, please, like, come down, please shop here, keep our businesses and keep our employees employed and keep our businesses alive. It's just a narrative. I mean, I think nobody wants more taxes. I mean, tariffs are taxes, just so people understand what tariffs are. Because I had one of my neighbors said to me, well, what is a tariff? I said, a tariff is a tax. I mean, it's just a sugar-coating name that you can call a pink unicorn. I can call it, well, a nice fluffy animal, but really.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tax specifically on anything from the country, from that particular country.
Yeah.
And our president doesn't understand what tariffs are because he keeps raising them and saying that other countries will pay them, just like he wanted Mexico to pay for the wall he wanted to build. So like he doesn't understand how any of this stuff works, and that.
Well, Well,
Anyway.
the humorous thing that I've heard is you know, to explain terrorists is it's the equivalent of pissing into the wind. You
Yes.
know that you know that you mean to do harm to other countries, but you're actually doing harm to yourself.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, let's not get. I just wanted
Let's not get too
I
derailed.
just wanted to point that out that our politicians here are just so. They don't want to take responsibility for their own problems that they've created. They want to point the finger at everybody else. So I just want to make that point.
It's the blame game, right? It's
Yeah.
like excuses of why not to take care of your residents and your citizens of the country. I mean, one part that really bothers me, and maybe you could kind of chime in, Alison, on this, is saying, well, you're disabled in your province, okay, and of course in the states there's the states, and you know, but you're disabled in your province, but you can't. If you want to move to one province to another province, you now have to apply for disability status under that province, but you're still a disabled citizen of Canada, but you're not disabled enough to be disabled in that province. So you need to apply and apply and apply, where it can be just universal across the country, because I mean, disabilities don't go away. And that's what drives me bonkers with this Canada disability benefit. It's like, you're already disabled in your province. Well, why do you have to prove that you're disabled enough to be
Prove it again. Prove it again.
Okay, so the U.S. does do it differently.
Okay.
We have two different disability programs, one of which is basically getting your retirement benefits early, which is called SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance.
Okay.
That program, the pay varies, and it's based on your earned income over the previous 10 years.
Oh, okay.
So you're getting retirement benefits from Social Security, and the amount that you get, it's a wonderful range. It's anywhere between $700 and $3,800.
Wow.
So, and again, it's based on your earnings over the previous 10 years.
Okay.
So basically, if you stop working and then apply a while later, you're going to get less money than if you applied as soon as you were unable to work. Also, the better paying job you had, the more income you're going to get.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of classes.
Well, that makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
That part makes sense.
So yeah, it does, but it's also got its classist background.
Yeah.
And then the other program is SSI, Supplemental Security Income, which sounds like it's more similar to your programs, which is basically, that's for people who don't have enough work history to be eligible for the retirement benefits. And if that's the case, then they get a set amount of money every month. And they get, the other thing is, because the US, our health insurance is associated with work. People on SSDI get Medicare coverage, which is what people 65 plus get. And then people on SSI get Medicaid coverage, which is our low income health insurance.
So that second one is quite a bit lower in the hierarchy then. Yeah, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
Right. It's the one that pays the doctors the least, and so it gets rejected by a lot more doctors' offices. Medicare, regular Medicare, is found in almost every doctor's office will take regular Medicare because they want the 65 plus population as patients, as clients.
Yeah.
If they want that, they got to take Medicare to get but the Medicaid is such a lower pay rate for the doctors.
Right. There's no incentive for the doctors to basically say, well, okay. I get it.
Yeah. Why would I want to get paid $100 for a service this other program pays me $200 for?
Yeah.
To give like theoretical numbers. And so the SSI program, the national payout number is, I think, 965. It was 941 last year. I know that for sure.
I guess that's where the classism comes into effect, like saying, well, you can have, but you can't have.
You deserve this much, and this pile over here, this pile
Yeah.
over here of disabled people, they deserve this much.
Yeah, or
And
the doctor's going to treat you if you have this, but
Yeah.
if you have this, then yeah.
yeah. And then the other part of that too is that's also for anybody over 65 who wasn't able to get Social Security benefits for whatever reason.
Right.
So like that's again not enough work history, things like that. And so that's messy. Then the other some states will give someone an SSI extra money because they're residents in a state that's more expensive. Generally, states that traditionally vote Democrat are much more likely to supplement that. States that don't generally just go, yeah, you get the US number.
Okay.
Somebody on SSDI can live anywhere in the country, no problem. They may need to change their medication coverage, things like that, but they're guaranteed coverage everywhere. People on SSI, if you get on SSI, you're guaranteed to have Medicaid and money coming in. But if you move, the amount of money you get may be different. And you have to tell the state that you're moving, because the states run the SSI program, even though it's a federal program.
But do they have to apply again in another state?
No,
they don't.
They do not have to apply, because the application process, both are run by Social Security. And so you're eligible nationally.
Nationally. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my understanding is Canada, basically the federal government said, so states, here you can have the money to pay your disabled people, but you have to figure out how to take care of them. As well as your unemployed people, as well as like the extra medical supports.
Yeah, so that's where the big word autonomy comes into effect, where a person can actually move where they want, versus in Canada, well, you can move, but you've got to reapply and apply and apply.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, here in Canada, in the provinces, they basically all get amnesia. It's like, well, they forget if you had a disability or not. It's like, well, we don't remember you. We don't remember you. Can you please apply again so we can remember you again and see what your status is? Like, it's like literally starting from zero.
Or you just clone yourself. You clone yourself. And make a whole bunch of
you literally start from zero, though. If you
Well, yeah, and that makes sense because of how the provinces have set it up. Each province is in charge of the criteria.
Yeah.
So the criteria may be different.
Yeah.
So there you go. And like in the US, that was one of the things they got right. Was the funding might be managed on the state level, because the federal government manages Medicare, state government manages Medicaid.
Right.
So everything related to Medicaid, the states are managing, but the federal government has some rules. The Canadian federal government didn't make any rules.
Exactly.
So every province has to is like cutting it from whole cloth instead of having that like outline.
Like a universal.
Like the US, we have like one container. And they can adjust the shape of the container a little bit. They can adjust the size a little bit, but you still have the same basic outline, the same basic rules.
It just kind of falls under the jurisdiction, but it's like boom, boom, and that there.
Right.
Then
so like,
I guess here's another good question for you. Now in the US, do they have like disabled under their programs? Do they have supplements that they get automatically, or do they have to apply for them based on their disability?
You basically have to apply for anything else individually, but it depends on exactly what you're talking about.
If they have a different condition that they develop over time, that maybe that they don't have that disability now, but they may acquire it, or they will in some cases, or maybe not, knock on wood that they don't, but I'll just say a dietary supplement, just as an example. Would they have a certain condition in order to get that?
Okay, so what it would be is that would probably be something managed under your healthcare plan.
Okay.
And so they've got a rule, like Medicare says, I cover these things, I don't cover these things.
Oh.
And so no matter how, so, once you're disabled, you're disabled.
Yeah.
Well, once you're certified, I like the term certified as disabled.
Yeah.
I'm differentiating that from having a disability. Certified as disabled means you're on the government disability program because they agree that you can't work enough to financially support yourself.
You're designated.
You're designated disabled.
Yeah.
If you happen to have a disability, but the government doesn't agree that you can't work, then you don't get any benefits whatsoever other than being protected by the ADA. So you still have the right to ask for accommodations at work. You still have those kinds of protections, but there's no money. There's no extra anything. You just are doing the thing. And I mean, this is a big part of why I'm on SSDI benefits and keeping it that way. I have a condition called functional neurological disorder that's extremely stress responsive. The more I try to do, the more likely I am to get symptomatic.
Yeah.
So I've worked multiple times for multiple employers. I've never been able to hold anything resembling a full-time job for a longer period of time because either something in my life goes wonky and my symptoms get worse, or the job gets more stressful and my symptoms get worse, or I develop a new symptom. And then I have to take time to figure out how to manage it. And I can't do the commute. I can't do the work. I can't keep.
I can relate to that. I can definitely relate to that.
I was listening to, when Minnie had you on her podcast and you were explaining that, and it was really interesting because like sometimes you don't know kind of what disabilities are out there. I mean, and you were explaining that, all of a sudden your gait, the way you walk will just suddenly change.
Yep.
And it will look bizarre. It will look bizarre, but there's no way that you can, change that. It just kind of happens.
Yep.
And you just kind of have to roll with it. And and it was really eye-opening for me because like there's so many of those things out there that you think, well, is that really a thing? But
there's so many disabilities that doctors are, they may think, well, this is what the person has, and sometimes it's misdiagnosed or it's not diagnosed, and it goes undetected for many years or decades. I was in college, Alison, and of course, person knows in themselves that kind of what disabilities they already have, and they work with them the best way they can in life. That's just how it is, and you roll with it. You just roll with it, and I was going through college through a program, and basically the college instructor says I highly recommend that we put you through an educational assessment. I had a doctor who put me through an educational assessment. I mean, I got paid for it. I mean, they paid for my transportation. I already had a bus pass, so I mean, I could take a regular charter bus or take the transit. Well, I mean, they said, well, take your pick. If you want to take public transit, it's free for you. You could just use that and buy your lunches. We don't care. We're just going to classify it as transportation. So it worked good for me. I put the money away to go and buy some other accessible equipment for home. And different things for that way. I thought, well, I'm going to utilize this money. I mean, I could go out with a friend of mine, go to a movie. I could go and buy pizza, waste money on things that I can't really see for it. So I was being very careful with how I allocated the stuff. But learning process is that I found out that, I had a learning curve on top of my disabilities that, and it went undiagnosed initially when I got my disability. So I went to my doctor and I said, well, I was inquiring about the Canada Disability Benefit. I mean, and they didn't have it back then, but they call it the DTC. And he goes, what's this, Brent? I go, this is from a doctor, from a specialist. He goes, oh, okay. So we'll just pile that on top of your disability. Well, we'll just, yeah. And he's being funny about it. He says, just take one for the team, Brent. We'll throw it on top of it. I mean, that's just who you are. You can't change who you are. That's just a terminology, Brent. That's just saying, oh, you have now that class. You have that classification here. That doesn't change my life. Doesn't change who I am. He goes, no, it doesn't. And he was old school doctor, and like I would suffer from allergies or a bad cold, Alison, and I can't prescribe anything for you. I can't. You're just gonna have to suffer. You know, and like he would not pencil pusher doctors. He would just nope. I'm like, come on, doc, please. And same thing, he would not sign a DTC. He says, nope, I won't sign it because you're already disabled in your province. Canada, he says, needs to wake up, he said, and realize that people in the provinces, they're disabled, they don't go away. Anything federal, they should get automatically. And I thought, wow. And then as time went on, fast forward, he's since retired. I don't even know if he's alive anymore, but I mean, God rest his soul if he's not. I mean, but he was right, though. He was right, bang on. And he argued with our provincial government at the time, too. And he managed to change the narrative of the government at the time, the administration, on their thinking. And Neil, you could probably dive quickly into that part where at the time, the government had done a clean sweep across every single ministry and cleaning up shop of cutting. Yeah, they wanted to see if a person was still disabled.
Basically did a slash and burn of all of the programs.
To make people get reassessed to see if they were still disabled enough to be on this.
Is your leg still missing? Yeah. Is your leg still seriously?
Yeah. Seriously? Do you still have an ear, Brent? Do you still have an ear?
So the US, the Social Security system does do medical reassessments. When you get on disability, somebody involved makes an estimate of how possible is it for you to recover. And if they think it's likely for you to recover, they do a reassessment like every 3 years. If they think it's unlikely for you to recover, they do a reassessment like every 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
And either way, they're actually looking for two completely different things. One is medically, are you still disabled? Which sometimes does feel really stupid. If you lost a limb, it's not going to magically grow back.
Yeah, normally, no.
But like certain mental health conditions, you can get under better control, or you can finally find the medication that works for it. Or a back injury, maybe it wasn't as bad and you figure out how to cope with it better. So it's not impossible to recover medically. It's just unlikely.
Yeah.
The other thing that they care about actually even more is about your ability to earn income. Because in the US, all the disability programs are predicated on not only are you disabled, you're too disabled to work. And the US defines that as substantial gainful activity, SGA. And they have a number, and every year that number goes up a little, basically on inflation. But if you earn over SGA, you do not get benefits. If your earning is under SGA, you can continue to get benefits. There's more nuances, but that's the basic.
Is it tied to the individual, or is it tied to family income?
Individual.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, okay. SSDI, it's individual. SSI, sometimes it's household for certain definitions of household.
Okay.
Because the SSI program is an intersectional disability and poverty program.
Yes.
Where SSDI is solely disability. So like to get SSDI, you can't have more than $2,000 in assets.
Okay.
So like SSDI, they don't care what your assets are. They only care how much money you earn.
Right.
SSI, they care about earned income and assets.
It's kind of like how our provincial programs are.
Yeah.
So it's that combination.
Very similar.
And so the
SSI,
And so the other thing is SSI also, in that sense, is where we have the marriage equality issue. Because SSI allows you to have up to $2,000 as an individual or up to $3,000 for a couple. So getting married robs you of eligibility for $1,000 of assets.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
like they
So-
punish you financially, for being.
They do the same thing here.
Yeah, the way they word it in the US is really interesting, though. They say if you're married or living as married.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the same thing here. Same thing here.
Definition.
Common law. Yeah.
It's an interesting kind of thing. So like the way I tend to advise clients is if you are on SSI and you live with somebody,
Mhm.
make sure you can prove that you're two financially separate.
Independent.
Mm-hmm.
And so you split things evenly. You so there is no way somebody can say you're living as married.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's keep your bank accounts separate, have no shared bank accounts.
Yeah.
Keep it all completely financially separate with an even splitting of the bills.
Mhm.
And then even if you are a couple, you can make the argument that you're each a household of one
Mm-hmm.
who is splitting expenses.
Mm-hmm.
You're sharing a living space, but you are not living as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like having a joint account. I mean, same thing. You don't want that because the government can actually look at that information anyway. Like if they want to,
Yeah.
they can look at
Oh,
that.
absolutely they can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
At any time. Yeah.
And so it's this, and so like the coaching work I do is helping people get through the application process
Mm-hmm.
and helping people navigate the money involved with starting to work while collecting benefits, so I can help them be in control of if, when, and how they lose benefits and or what benefits they lose when.
Mm-hmm.
Because every program has its own, like there's a lot of financial need programs here in the US. There probably are in Canada too, like assistance for electricity, assistance for food, things like that. Each of those programs has its own separate magic number that if you earn over it, you lose benefits. But if you're under, you keep them.
Yeah, that's like another good example. It's like having a cell phone account and having two people in a household under one account versus having two separate accounts, because otherwise it starts creating red flags of going, well, why are you having two numbers under one account? Oh, because it's to save money. Well, why is it to save money? You see, then it starts getting question marks of going, okay, is there something else going on here?
Right.
And, yeah.
Why do you think you deserve to be married?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But and this goes back to that bias of viewing people with disabilities as children or childlike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If we're financially dependent,
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. If we're financially independent, are we really disabled? Disabled people can't be financially independent.
Yeah.
That gives, that gives this, it goes against that stereotype of disabled people.
Yeah.
So a lot of my stuff is let's tease this apart so we can feel better about where we actually are and not take on unnecessary guilt and internalize the ableism we're taught.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that I see, like you're talking about advocacy is important, but I'd say you can go a little deeper than that. And the most essential skill is self-efficacy, which is that belief that you can successfully do things.
Yeah.
And that is what all of the programs destroy.
Mm-hmm.
They're designed.
Yeah, it's like bringing the awareness to all the inequalities, and then looking at all those inequalities and saying how can those inequalities be completely restored or modernized, and so then you dig deeper and deeper into that, and it gets very interesting. It gets really messy, actually.
Right, and so like that's kind of what the way I'm approaching it, the way I talk about it in the first book is it's the system is broken.
Yeah,
there's a lot of bias against us. Okay, here's the thing. Either it's broken or it's working exactly as intended.
Yeah,
that's right.
Depending on how pessimistic you are.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
So but if you're aware going in that it's rigged against you, then you're not as upset when you get rejected.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
and my
easier
thing,
to-
and Brent knows this. Everybody that watches the podcast knows my version of that is I call it a pink unicorn. When you have systemic things that are deliberately working as intended, like deliberately broken and working as intended, that to me is a pink unicorn. And I always want to point out those pink unicorns. It's like, you're fashioning up this make-believe thing and saying, this is the truth, and it's not,
Not at all.
Yeah.
I was in the mall just last week. I was walking through the mall, had to take care of a few errands, and I saw this pink unicorn. It was in a window of this one store. The first thing I looked at, somebody goes, "Hey, there's a pink unicorn." I said, first I thought, "Oh, Neil, you're gonna take a picture of this." I was gonna take a picture, and I thought, wow. And then I heard from it just as some other people walking the opposite direction, and some little children, they were staring at this this unicorn. One was a blue one. There was a pink one, some different colors. And the children were walking with their parents and said, "Are those real?" And I was going to say, I so badly want to say, no, they're not real. They're not. The government would say they're real.
Governments think they're real, but they're not real. Yeah.
I know, but they're,
government say they're real. Government says they're real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of what I write about is this: let me empower you to recognize that bias, to see it and go, right, that's not me. I'm not the problem. The system's broken. That's the problem. So they don't internalize that messages of failure that we get, the messages of inability, the messages of incompetence, all that stuff. Because like I said, the thing that's most damaged is that belief that you can do things successfully, because everything, like, okay, if you succeed in getting disability benefits, that means you just proved that you can't take care of yourself financially.
Yeah.
Like, there's no win.
Yeah.
There's a win for you in the moment, but that winning is announcing a loss to the world.
You've proven last place. Congratulations.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You win the badge here.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to point out we have Minnie in chat now. She's saying hey. So that's cool. We're getting almost to the end of the episode. But I wanted to circle back to your book. I wanted to make a point to say that I do have your links in the description of the video to your books, both of your books. I just wanted to ask you, when you're writing either one of your books, if you had any challenges as a author writer, because like I've written a book as well. It's been a long time. I wrote mine back it's like over 15 years ago now. I wrote mine, and self-published, and so there are some some challenges there, and I just wanted to know like author to author if you had challenges getting your book out there.
Yeah, the interesting part was, in a lot of ways, so first of all, I wrote both books at the same time because the plan was for them to be one book. And basically what happened was the person who was helping me with them, I'd hired her as the way she put it was white glove self-publishing. She did the heavy lifting. She set up the accounts for me. She told me what needed to be done. She walked me through processes, things like that. And she also got me the editing and helped me with some of that. So that was what I ended up with, which was great. But basically I wrote and she kept being like, oh, the book's going to be as long as it's going to be. And then she reached out to me, was like, so about your book. I'm like, And she's like, well, we pulled everything apart and it's 183,000 words.
Oh.
And that is too much to put in one single book. So we have to do some major rethinking. And what we ended up with was publishing it as 2 separate books. The thing that was there are 2 different things. One was I got duped by an organization that sounded great and was going to publish my book for me. And they ended up not editing my book. And they've told me that it was going to take like 9 months to go through the process or whatever. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But on month 7, they still hadn't started editing my book.
Oh, wow.
And so I had to go somewhere else because I was not willing to trust them, especially when they told me this editor was working on it. The editor started working on it. Then the editor didn't do anything.
Oh, okay.
And I sent an email to the editor saying, hi, what's going on? And my email bounced.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So I was like, I can't. I can't.
I'm in action.
So then I went back to the person I'd first spoken with, worked with her, and they're beautiful. The books are beautiful. Paul's first book is available in all formats: hardcover, softcover, and ebook. At this point, the second book, Disability Finances, is only available in ebook format because she and I had contracted for her to do a book for me.
Right.
And she was willing to do the second part as an ebook, but it just was too far beyond scope for her to do the physical book on top of it. So that's kind of
I guess that's a good thing, though, is that it kind of keeps people intrigued, though, because they'll read the first part and then they go, oh, I wonder what the second one's about. And then they'll look forward to the third one, and et cetera, et cetera.
So, well, yeah, the third one, my partner made me promise to take at least a year before working on the third one, because the last 2 years have been
chaos,
book stress. Well, also the other difficult thing was, while trying to do all of this stuff, my partner and I also had to move.
Oh, yes.
We found out we were losing our very affordable apartment. And the same month that happened, a family member had a really severe health scare. And as a result of everything, we ended up moving in with his parents to support them and give us a good space to live. So it's a win for everyone, but it's a huge adjustment.
I was just going to say it is a huge adjustment, especially, having an affordable place that you could call home, and then losing it, but gaining, having family all around you, but at the same time not having your space. And I can relate to that. And, knock on wood, where we are now is affordable for us. It's still expensive, but we move and it become very unaffordable. So we have to kind of look at geographically where we want to be, because of course, the government says, well, we're going to give you $500 for your shelter. That's maximum. Well, where can you rent in Canada for $500? You can't. So you got to, and that's my argument I have with them, is that you get rid of it. It's just one check. It's just a classification: support, shelter. Get rid of the word shelter, because you're using your check anyway to pay your rent and your bills and your food and and laundry, everything. So no difference, right? The
U.S. system is just like, here's some money, have a nice life.
By
the way, we're not going to specifically tell you this, but there are other programs that exist, but you have to go and find them. And figure out what you're eligible for, and go through a completely separate application process to get on it. So a lot of my second book is talking people through, all right, so let's look at housing as a thing. And think about what it takes to find housing that you can afford. What are your rights? What do you need to think about? What programs exist? How can they help you? How don't they help? What are your trade-offs? Let's think about this process. And like I said, I go deep into what I know of the U.S. system and my experiences with it, with an introduction at the beginning saying, globally, this is my understanding. Here's some examples from certain countries that I've had conversations with people about. So take a look and think about it, and then use what I talk about in the U.S.
And in your third book, you can say, Brent and Neil told me this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I actually very intentionally didn't give names when I was going through most of the book, because some of the stories being shared could result in retaliation from the systems involved.
Oh,
if you're on
that's
disability and Social Security made your life difficult, you don't want to publicize that you're part of a book that talks about how Social Security made your life difficult.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially when like rents. I mean, like in BC alone. I mean, they say that rents in BC are the highest in Canada. I mean, Ontario is right behind BC when it comes to unaffordability for rent. I mean, in Ontario and BC and other provinces, I mean, a whole check, you cannot pay market rent, a full cost of market rent on a whole disability check. And misconception, I've run into this in my community so many times, and the belief, and then this is how the system's designed. The belief is that people think, oh, well, your rent is on top. Your rent is on top of your Social Security, your disability. And I said, no, it's not. It's all included. They're like, what? And I'm like, Like,
no, they think I can survive on this.
But I mean, that's the belief that some people think it's actually on top. I go, wow, I mean, wouldn't that be something?
That'd be wonderful.
And I've said too, Brent, and I know we have to get off. But I've said lots is that, like I've been disabled my whole life. So I've been disabled for 57 years. But I was able to work for a vast majority of my life. And it was really only when my son was born, after the first year that he was born, that my first wife and I both decided to get on disability assistance. So it's been like 15 years for me, right? And I just have to, like, again, admit that for the vast majority of my life, I had no idea that the system was as messed up as it was. Like, I had no idea that pink unicorns were real. Like, I had no idea that pink unicorns were real. But I mean, they are, and it's just like, what? Like here's a guy that was disabled his whole life, and I got a huge wake up call. Like, I had no idea. I was ignorant. I was ignorant of my own disability in some ways, right? Of what was out there for support or non-support, we should say.
But I'll give you a quick example regarding that. Is I used to argue and fight with my mom. I mean, not literally fight, but argue. I mean, but fight with words. My mom would say, well, apply for disability, Brent. This system is there to take care of you. That's going to protect you, so that if you lose your job, you lose your ability of what you can do now, but future in life, you're going to find that you're not going to be able to do what you thought you could do back then. And I said, oh, no, I'll be fine. And I had that in my, I guess, mentality, that in my mind that, I can do. And then over time, the body says, no, you can't do this anymore. Okay, but I can still do this. So the can-do attitude of do. But my doctor kept saying, well, I think your mom's right, Brent. I think that, I would sit down as a consultation and you have separate little meetings with the doctor versus my mom being there. And I said, well, my mom would say this, well, I can't tell you what your mom said due to patient confidentiality. I go, for God's sake, doc, she's my mom. I can't talk about it, Brent. But he goes, but I can give you an overview. And so he says, I think you should apply for it. It's going to be there. The system's going to be there to protect you. And this is the thing, exactly, Neil, what you just mentioned is that he believed, the same thing. He believed that the rent is going to be above the support of the total check. He believed because the government didn't tell him anything different. So his belief was that the system was going to be there to protect you. And when that's why he was so beyond, I learned a lot of words, syllables that came out of his language, out of his mouth. I was told to leave the office and go over next door. They had a McDonald's, and I didn't like to eat at McDonald's, but I didn't have any money on me at the time. I only brought just enough with me just to go and buy a drink, because I knew I was going to have a meeting with the doctor. Anyway, the receptionist opens her purse and says, Brent, here's $20. I go, no, what? She goes, go to McDonald's. I said, it's not $20. So it gives me 15. It says, well, whatever's left, just whatever, that's fine. It's just, matter of fact, you know what? Here, yeah, have 20. And just go and buy yourself something nice another day. No, please don't. Please, I said, I still remember that. Please don't make me go to McDonald's and eat there. No. So yeah. Anyway, long story short, I went over there because she says the doc's going to have a few language lessons with the government, and you don't need to hear her. I only heard like 2 minutes of it. He was on there for 35 minutes, and he had to cancel all his patients for the next 3 hours because after that he needed to take a little breather to relax and then recoup himself and then get more of his patients back. But anyway, 35 minutes he yelled with the government apparently, and like lawsuits, this and that, because they want to put people through a reevaluation. And I mean, like literally, like it was bad. But anyway, it was just designed. Like he says that the system is set that way. So that's my little blurb on that. It's the belief that he thought everything was supposed to be fine, and he says evidently not.
It's not fine.
Yeah.
No, it's so not. And like here's the thing: so many of these issues are global. Because like part of what I'm hearing, I know it's partially I don't want to go to McDonald's, but also there's a very strong resistance to charity or things that feel like charity.
Right.
And that's been trained into us by society. That's part of the classism that kind of, in the US, it's rugged individualism, but I'm sure there's a term that you guys use too, of just financial independence and I don't need charity and I should be able to do it myself and that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And that's part of the classism too. Then once you become disabled or become poor, you're expected to beg the government for help.
Yeah.
And it really is begging because you don't just fill out some information, you're filling out some of your most private, intimate details because there's so much taboo around talking about how much you earn. Unless it's a lot and you're bragging, then okay, cool, whatever. But if you don't have a lot of money, you stay private about that. You don't talk about how little money you have because it's embarrassing. What do you do on the government forums? Here's how little money I have. Here's how I can't support myself. With disability, here are all of the ways my body has failed to work and all of the reasons why I desperately need someone to help me with every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
If you sound pathetic enough,
you
they will give you
How much
something.
change do you have here? I got a penny, I got a quarter, dime, nickel. Do you have anything else in your wallet? Yeah, I got a dollar bill. Here you go.
They literally used to do that here.
Yeah, literally.
In the province, they would say, "Empty your pockets."
Yeah, like
empty your pockets.
They would want to see the inside of your.
No joke. Empty your
And
pockets.
I remember one time. Put your wallet on my desk, please. On the corner of the desk. Don't push it forward, closer to you. And
like you're literally a criminal. A criminal. Empty your pockets.
They'd have a stapler. She'd have a stapler on her desk, and she says, "So just put the wallet closer to you on the end of the desk." And there was a pen or something. I just need you to basically sign something. So I'd reach over. Oh no! Here, let me push the pen holder toward you. Now you can grab it. Why? What are you worried about? I'm gonna reach over to grab that stapler. Well, I said, "Oh my God!" I said, and Alison, I said to the worker at the time, I said, "I'm going to give you first warning, final warning. So do not treat me like a little child. I have a mother. I don't need to have another mother." I said, "Do not do that." I said, "Unless you value your job, you will not do that." Oh, she backed off in a hurry.
Maybe I will stab you with this staple.
Yeah, imagine, oh God, crazy.
And that's what I'm talking about. The employees view themselves as the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And they view us as the failures.
Yeah.
There's so many horror stories, especially about people working in specifically with poor people. It's especially bad combined with the racism. So like a Black woman going in to get support. Often if she has children, she has to bring them with her. And then getting, and not just Black, I mean, anybody who's poor and has kids.
The children with them and say,
and then they get humiliated by the staff member
Terrible.
because they're gatekeeping.
Yeah.
They're not like in theory, their job is to help you.
Yeah.
But
It's supposed
in
to be.
reality, they're the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And that's how they've put it in their brains so that they feel good about themselves. They're protecting the government's money
Mhm.
from those pretenders who have
Yeah,
to
we're
exist.
protecting all the dimes. Yeah.
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 We're protecting the dimes from those wealthy people who want to steal it, or the people who are professionally unemployed so they can get benefits. And it's okay, well, how many sets of government benefits would you have to get to make up for the shame involved in getting them in the first place? Like,
Yeah, I guess that's like a narrative where, like, why would somebody want to deliberately that be on like disability assistance? I mean, they're disabled. I mean, and that's why they have it. I mean, and then that's just, I guess a part of, I guess, in society where some people think, well, it's okay. Maybe I should go and apply for disability just because. I mean, well, no, like, I mean,
no, nobody wants to apply for disability.
no, exactly.
Yeah.
You apply for disability because you need to, because you're that disabled.
Yeah.
Well, again, talking about government gatekeeping, and this will be my closing comment, Brent, is I've talked about it a lot. Is we had a premier here in BC, Mike Harcourt. It was back in 93, 94. He stood up in front of cameras it was during the news hour. It was a live conference. I came home from college or university at the time, so I was coming home. I saw it live. I remember seeing it live right around dinner hour, and he stood up in front of these cameras and said, all people on welfare are cheats, varmints, and deadbeats. All people on welfare are cheats, varmints, and deadbeats. And let me remind you, this is from a provincial premier. This came out of a mouth of a provincial premier, somebody that should know better.
Yeah. It was
Right?
disgusting.
I mean, that is a bigoted comment. Let's just paint truth. That's a bigoted comment.
Absolutely.
And I've made the point several times, right? And that this bigotry has been propelled forward for over 30 years. That same bigoted comment of over 30 years ago of cheats, varmints, and deadbeats has been propelled forward in legislation, deliberately broken legislation, as you've alluded to, Alison. Deliberately broken legislation, deliberately broken policy of, well, they're just cheats, varmints, and deadbeats, so they deserve their poverty, right?
Yep.
We'll all be bigots because they deserve their poverty. It's fine. Right?
I remember that day though when the news came on. My mom was watching it. She was always adamant to watching that. She'd watch her soap opera, and then it would end, and then the news hour would come on. Well, she was watching that, and she says, "What is this garbage?" She literally turned the TV, the channel off. She's, "I can't listen to this filth." And she said, and I
good for her.
looked at her. I was like, "Mom," she's like, "What did he just say?" And I said, "Well, I repeat it." She goes, "No, do not say that in my house." I didn't say. I'm just saying what he just said. She goes, "I know, you don't have to repeat it, Brent. I heard it from my own ears." She says, "I'm going to march down to the government." Well, I said, "Well, more power to you." And I was like, "Wow." And and of course, Neil, when we talked about that too. I mean, fast forward through time, and we kind of revisited that, and people within in Victoria here.
We did a role play. We did on an episode. It's called the bad idea hat.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch.
When was that? Was it last year, right? Was it last year we did that? So year 2, if you look up year 2, the bad idea hat. You and I, Brent, did some role plays, and one of the role plays we did was the Mike Harcourt cheats, varmints, and deadbeats. We talked about that, but anyway, because I'm old enough to remember that, and I know like lots of people aren't, but I mean that still sticks in my brain. Really. And I mean, let's back up again, Brent, and say like this last provincial election, who endorsed? Who was it that endorsed our David Eby, who won the election? Who gave him the this big endorsement? It was none other than Mike Harcourt, right?
Okay.
So right then, I'm thinking to myself, okay, David Eby, you deserve to lose the election right there because you're attaching yourself to a bigot. You're attaching yourself, but he still won the election. Unfortunately, he still won. But I'm thinking to myself, like, Mike Harcourt's a bigot. If you attach yourself to a bigot, that means you're a bigot too. I mean, anyway, we can go on, and I probably shouldn't because I'll get heated now. But
the thing I'd say about that is there's also a subtext to that.
Yes.
That's unspoken. And so they can all die.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing. Like it feels very much like with the low payments, with the treatment that we get as people with disabilities and as poor people. And I'm gonna, put all of that together because poor people are more likely to be disabled because they can't get adequate health care. They're more likely to be traumatized. They're more likely to be mistreated. They're less access to quality food and so on. The risk of becoming disabled is much higher. And once you become disabled, you're pushed towards or into poverty. All of us as a group, the poor and disabled, the subtext of all of it is, why don't you just all be gone so we don't have to worry about you anymore?
Yeah. Actually, we are going to talk more on that next podcast. When we're going to be our next podcast is how to be happy, and that's going to be one of the things we're going to talk about is this idea that how to, like, this idea of not being worthy, and why don't you feel worthy, and all this stuff. But it's how to be happy and how to get your mind right, and be positive in the steady stream of being attacked for being not worthy enough. Yeah.
I heard this morning on the news that today the BC NDP and the Green Party are going to be renewing their agreement because the BC NDP only have one seat majority, Alison, and so they need the other opposition party to hold them up for basically when they vote for voting stuff. So part of the agreement, they said, is going to be health care. There's a bunch of stuff in there. I'm hoping that one of them will be for disability supports, but that's just a long shot.
That's a hope.
Yeah.
We have a comment. I just wanted to end off on this. We have a comment from Inga Klaus. I love Inga because she participates in the chats a lot. She says happiness is just a word, and she puts a little frowny face. She says, "Sorry, that is how I feel." So Inga, I'd encourage you and anybody that believes that, please tune in to our podcast on Friday because I think it's going to be one of our most important podcasts, to be honest, because there's so much negativity now, Brent. There really, and you know who's leading the charge. You know who's leading the charge on the negative. I mean, you just touched on it, Alison. The government, our governments are leading the charge on the negativity. Our governments are leading the charge on the negative. So I just feel so crappy, and I'm just willing to put myself out there to have this podcast out there. And I don't care if I embarrass myself or not, I just think we've got to the point that, the governments want it so that we feel hopeless and helpless. And I don't want that. So please, anybody that's feeling that way, please tune into our show on Friday and
absolutely.
And hopefully you'll feel better about it.
Yeah. Because we're going to dive into a lot of that stuff. And I guess first of all, Alison, I want to thank you for coming on and basically sharing about your books with us and talking about lived experience and everything that you've gone through. And I just, I want to just extend the invite to you of having you back on again, and talking more about, when the time comes about your other book.
Hey, I'm open to discussing.
And I'll write the
either of these
I'll
two.
write the forward for you.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, like, the reason why I've chosen thriving while disabled as my big theme is I think we all deserve to thrive, and that includes being happy in
Yes.
who we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so throughout the book, it's both books, they're built to be positive. They're built to give hope.
Mm-hmm.
And the point throughout it is, yes, it's hard. Yes, the system is broken.
Mm-hmm.
But there are still things that you can do to make your life better.
Mm-hmm.
And use the programs that exist to help you. But the point isn't to get on the programs. The point is to make your life better.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the programs can be used as a stepping stone
Mm-hmm.
to help you build stability for yourself, and then help you get on to whatever your next step is and get your next step closer to thriving.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all deserve to thrive. We all deserve to be happy. And there's so much negative messaging that we're dealing with.
Oh, yes.
You have to learn to separate the negative messaging from the reality of your identity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point within the first book. To
Mhm.
just, is it easy? No. But here are the stereotypes. Here's what you're up against. Here's what's going on. And none of this is your fault.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's not,
Yeah.
and it's not the person's fault. It's on how the systems are designed or deliberately set, or they're just not wanting to change them because status quo. It's easier to keep status quo the same and copy paste.
Absolutely.
Because then it's less bureaucratic issues that the government has to deal with. Like, the status quo, we'll just copy paste and okay, we're done with it. Oh, well, what about we need to change it? Oh,
well, and also but it's also partially the inherent classism.
yeah.
If poor people are poor because they can't do better, which is the storyline that is often shared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're not trying hard enough. They're not, whatever. That it's all BS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's the messaging.
Yeah.
Then why would they want to support poor people? And
Right.
disabled people are almost always poor
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
because of ableism. And so, like, I talk a little bit about the idea of classism in the law. The people involved with writing laws are usually wealthy. The people involved with making laws are usually wealthy. The lawyers who represent people are usually wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole system is built on a presumption of wealth and a valuing of people with money, which tends to mean they devalue people who don't have a lot of money and power.
The cards are already stacked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the deck is stacked in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know the deck is stacked and you can win anyway, that's
Mhm.
something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Sounds great. I really encourage people to definitely check out your books and definitely.
And again, they are in the description below.
Yeah, look at the descriptions below. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thanks, Alison. It's great having you on the show. And
Absolutely. Thanks so
Yeah.
much for having me.
thank you. And I want to thank our listeners and our viewers, for tuning in.
And thanks to Minnie for the referral.
Yeah, thank you so much, Minnie. Awesome referral, Minnie. Thank you so much. If there's other referrals, I'll pass them along.
Yeah.
And anyway, if you have other show ideas that you'd like to, see or hear, let us know in the comments section. We'd love to explore other ideas, and any other ideas that you have, for content. Definitely pass them on. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast as usual. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned to our next broadcast on Friday, August the 8th, as we're going to talk about, Neil,
How to
over
be
to you.
happy. How
to be happy. Don't worry, be happy now. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.